Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today we're going to be getting on with part 2 of our space tower. Right, so last time we did the first 4 floors of our space tower, including this wonderful lift on the outside, which has got 2 of the aliens who are invading this building in order to achieve a secret mission known only to them, but we will be finding that out later today. Now, I think the first part was quite well received, and you liked the building, you liked the scenes inside, and you liked the aliens as well very much. There are a few criticisms, mostly around the lift and making rails on the outside of the buildings, or making the area where it's going to be landing on the ground floor a bit more obvious or something like that, and that the building is quite basic in its outside appearance. But I'm happy with that. And that's because I think it's kind of a drab government building, to be honest, but also because you haven't seen the rest of it yet. When you see the, extravagance that's on the top, then maybe you'll understand that a rather muted tower is a lot more sensible. But there were some suggestions that I liked very much, so I'm going to show you some of those, and each one of those will get a bedoing in reward. So the first one was this idea to add a reporter running away, and the reporter would have been the one who had dropped their evidence, which was on this tile of aliens existing and being around on the planet. And another one, hold on, there we go, so that's for that one. And another one, which was related, was to have our face clinger with one of the more recent sort of motion pieces in Transclear. So instead of just having him sort of sat on the pavement looking round, I can have him sort of charging after the hapless reporter. So I hope you can see that. We'll have a close-up later on. So that was also a fantastic idea that I like very much. And just the idea of using that piece gives it a lot of dynamism and a lot of motion. And I always think that improves a scene a great deal. Now, a little one was just to make this spaceman look a bit more like an exhibit rather than an actual man by adding a plinth. So I've just made a little red plinth for him to stand on. I thought that would sort of match the stripes on his uniform. Well done to that suggestion. And then another one was to make this rocket actually launch and be sort of stuck between 2 floors because it had actually been fired accidentally into the ceiling. So the first thing I want to do is just angle this person back as they're sort of witnessing the event. So then the bottom of the rocket, I've got a little bit of a flame on. So I think I can do that. Now you'll already see that I've rearranged it upstairs a little bit just to accommodate for this. And then the top of the rocket can go there. So that person's looking very surprised at the fact that this rocket is wedged in the ceiling. Must remember to do those if it's a new feature. Then this lady now is staring at the window with her sort of mouth in a sort of stunned position because she's certain she just saw 2 green aliens go by in the lift right past her window. But so she's a bit frozen to the spot, and you can see that her tea is sort of sagging and she's sort of accidentally spilling that on the floor with the shock of that view. So that was another good suggestion. And then the last suggestion, which at first I didn't really like, but then the more I sort of thought about it, the more I played with it, the more I did like it. So I've rearranged this room and I've made the rocket a lot higher, and I've made the lady scientist with the white hat get well out of the way, because we're going to take out that pane of glass and add in loads and loads of flames, as this rocket is also been activated, probably an error, presumably, since we've got flames coming right through the window, which has probably been blasted into smithereens and melted under the intense heat. So that is probably my favourite of all the suggestions so far. So thanks for that. Yeah, I do like that. That is really funny. And what's really good about that one as well is that you can sort of see it from the outside and from the front as well. So we won't be able to have another building right pushed up close to this one, But yeah, I really like that. It's a good funny scene. So it seems most of your suggestions are very much in my sort of line of thinking, in that they're sort of good funny scenes and a bit mischievous with loads of calamity going on in our building. So 2 thumbs up for those from me. But let's now get on with today's build, which I'm going to do separate to this tower because there's no way I can get all of this in shot anymore. So I'm going to start with a new sort of base to do floor number 5. Right, so before I show you floor number 5, just thought I'd give you a bit of a close-up on that scene. Does look great with the little clinger sort of flying towards the poor journalist lady. So I do like that. And maybe you can just see her staring through that window in a bit of a blank expression, spilling her tea. I do like both of those scenes, actually. Really good. Right, so here is another floor bit, and as usual I've put a few sort of plates and things on just to remind me what I'm doing, just to give me a bit of a reference point. But the whole point of this floor was actually to incorporate some classic space, because a load of people really love classic space. That's the really, really old stuff from the late 70s and early 1980s, a long time ago now. It was all pretty much blue and grey, and it was sort of a very special period to a lot of people. And recently I came into the possession of this 1x6x5 brick, which was part of one of the major space stations of the era, which was called the Beta 1 Command Base, which is from 1980. That's set 6970. And I just loved it, and I didn't really know why I'd bought it, just other than wanting to sort of own it, really. And it was only later that I decided that I could really incorporate it into a floor of my space centre. Now, why a space centre would have a floor that was sort of set up to look like the 70s and 80s, I've got no idea. Maybe it'd be a museum or something like that. But it did spur me on to invest some serious money in acquiring the second one, which is even more rare and more difficult to find and therefore expensive. And this one's even older as well. It's from 1979. A very, very long time ago. And this is from the Space Command Center, set 493. Yeah, a 3-digit set number, so that shows how old it is. And it's got a classic spaceman with his spanner going towards a satellite from presumably some sort of space station on a spacewalk. And that one's got another white spaceman looking up at a rocket on its way to the moon. Now, both of these are just fantastic pieces. So I thought, well, I need to base a floor around these entirely. So in order for them to be the most visible possible, I thought I'd put them on the back wall. All the other floors don't have a back wall, but we just wouldn't be able to see them, and they wouldn't be done proper justice if they weren't there, right, for all of us to see. So then I thought, well, I could have a door in the middle to sort of break up those 2 huge screens, because maybe this is a control room that was used for sort of one of the famous space missions or something like that, like you see on the movies. And I thought I'd use more blue bricks and trans yellow, because that was also very prevalent then, to sort of fill in the scene. These were in quite a few sets in those days, which just this sort of downward pointing arrow, like Space Cruiser from 1979, set 924, another 3-digit one. Also from that set was these classic space symbol ones as well. Actually, I can't put that on yet, because what I need to do is put on this little construct, which is an old grey aerial piece held on with some with a sort of modified plate with a grabber on and some 1x1 bricks. Then I can secure it in place with this. And you may think, well, what's that for? Well, in a lot of those space stations, whenever they sat on an old school chair like this, and they would have their oxygen tanks on, they wouldn't be able to actually sit on it properly. So what they would do, weirdly, because they were still in space and it was still open to the elements and so on, but nonetheless, they would they would hang up their oxygen tank on one of these things. So you'd often see them with their sort of tank, held on there. Maybe they plugged into their terminal for their oxygen or something like that. Who knows? So let me do the same thing on the other side. Put that there. It gives it a bit of strength as well. And we'll have another classic space symbol there. A lot of these bricks are a bit old, so a little bit faded in places, a little bit scratched and so on, but I'm going to go with it. And the last bit to fill up that space in the wall is one of these, and this was kind of like the nose cone, not really a cone, but nose bit of a lot of those spaceships, like that space cruiser we just looked at, and that can go there. Now, when the next roof's on, you're barely going to be able to see that top bit, but I had it, so I thought I'd put it in, and at least at this point, it looks absolutely smashing. So there you go. Right, so these turntables are for 2 chairs, for 2 people working on this floor, and I thought I'd give them some terminals, very much based on the very old computer screens that you used to get, so 1 of each there. Do that on this side. Do you want it further away, or maybe there? And then here I've got the same 2, but I've got 1x4 in old grey as well, with these sort of, I don't know what they would be on, dials, and then 2 inverted ones as well that you could get. So I've done rather well in accumulating some classic space pieces. So I'll put that as a really big terminal there, because I need to give space for my wall of windows. So I hope you agree that that looks very classic space and very, very wonderful. Massive flashback. So who is going to work on this floor? Well, I was thinking of getting some really old classic spacemen, because that would make the most sense after all, but they're very hard to get for a reasonable price, and they're also incredibly faded and, well, a bit knackered really. But then I had a brainwave, and I thought, well, why not get Benny's Space Squad, which was a very recent set 70841, because that has got, well, Benny himself, there we go, and it's got 3 more. It's got Kenny, who's apparently the yellow one, and then it's got Jenny, who is the white one, and then it's got Lenny, who is the pink one, apparently. You would have thought Jenny might be the pink one, but maybe that's me being sexist, I have no idea. But then also you've got this very, very cool robot, which is very reminiscent of classic space as well, in that grey, trans, yellow and blue combo. So I thought, brilliant, I'll use all of these. So I'm going to leave Benny out. I might do something else with him, but he's too blue. He kind of blends in. You can barely see him. So he is going to go back in the minifigure tub for a later use. I'm also going to get rid of the metal detector and the sort of gun thing, because I don't think that would be used in this context. So I'm going to make use of the aerials that hold the oxygen tanks, show you them in action. So there's one with the pink, who I want to call her, but he's a him, so he can sit at this terminal. And then we'll have the white one, who was Jenny, who is the lady. Very confusing. What's the chance of them all having very similar names? Let's have her looking at us. And maybe she's got the walkie-talkie. There we go. So, looking pretty good already, isn't it? And then just come through the door can be Kenny. And he's joined by the robot, who I don't know if he has a name. Can we think of another any name? Kenny, Lenny, Jenny, Benny. No, I can't think of one offhand. And then I just thought I'd give this guy, because I had another classic Lego piece, which is just this 1x2 tile, which sort of got 4 buttons on and this sort of mini screen. So I just thought, since I had it, this would probably be the best place to use it. So he's sort of come in with some information. Now, if that isn't an awesome scene, I'm so happy with that. That's better than all the other floors put together, if you ask me. Massive retro vibe going on. It's almost going to be spoilt by the fact that we're going to have to put these windows in front of it. Like this. What a shame, but hopefully we'll soon still be able to see everything that we've done. And I've deliberately put this quite high up the building because... Oh, robot, you're going to have to move back a bit. Because I want... Yeah, your antenna right as well. I want it to be able to be seen. So I want this high up in the building. And then hopefully we can see it from absolutely everywhere else in the Lego room. So that blue glass has obviously made it a bit more blue saturated, but you can still see that we've got white, yellow and pink spacemen in there. And you can see the robot blends into the background a bit, and that's why I didn't put Benny in there. So there we go. So there is our classic space floor, which can go on top of our existing building. Fantastic. On to floor number 6. So this will be the last kind of standard shaped floor, though I'm going to have 2 more kind of structures above this. But this one is actually going to be the destination that the aliens are trying to reach. So we've got the alien team on the ground floor from last time, and we've got 2 of them in the lift on the way up. And this is where they're trying to get to, because they're not actually on an aggressive mission to try and hurt Earthlings. What they're doing is trying to rescue their boss, the alien commander, who's a wonderful minifigure with this lovely tentacled base in lime green and his wonderful kind of epaulettes and cloak and so on. Now, he usually comes in the Alien Conquest mothership, which is set 7065. But when I've mounted that to my ceiling of my Lego room, I put in the Alien Villainess from the Lego series minifigures and 2 others, because this base takes a lot of space. You can actually fit 3 aliens in there for the price of 1, which means I had this one left over, and I thought he would be here, handcuffed and held against his will in a prison cell, which would be on this security floor, kind of a security block, kind of like in Star Wars and so on, where they're trying to break out layer. So so I need to basically build the walls around him. So he'll be able to see out, and we'll be able to see him from the outside as well. And he's looking very calm and sedate. Perhaps he knows he's about to be broken out. Now the 4th wall of that, or the 3rd wall, depending how you look at it, is going to just be this prison door with a coded lock and a window so they can see in and check on him, because I reckon he might have telepathic powers with that big brain of his. So I'll secure that in place like that. Then I need to finish the rest of the windows, and I've added a modified brick here just so I can add this modified plate, which I'll try and show you. It has this quite cool hologram on it, and it's hard to angle right. That's probably about as good as we can get. So you can see there's a spaceman on the right and kind of a lunarscape on the left with loads of stars in the sky and so on. So maybe that's a live feed from space. I don't know. But that was in a number of Explorian sets, like 6982, Explorian Starship from 1996. And I just thought I'd add that down there. It's probably not the best place for it, to be honest, but it was kind of an afterthought. I thought I'd better include it. I can always do something better with it. And then I need kind of a control panel. Again, just like they had in Star Wars, to sort of control all the prison doors, because maybe there's a load of prisons here, given this is a kind of a thick facade with the standing space behind it. So that needs some controls, and maybe it's got some sirens as well for if there's a prison break. And on this side, I've got a tile that says Alien Defense Unit, which is kind of the name of the good guys, or the Earthling guys, in their Alien Conquest line. And I put that on top of this brick, which is actually a sound brick. And it's the one that comes in the Alien Mothership. Don't worry, I haven't taken it out of my Alien Mothership, but this is another one that I got on a Bricklink haul. So that makes a good sound. Let me play it straight into my mic. So hopefully you heard that clearly. It's hard for me to tell right now, but I'm going to put that in here. And I don't know if that noise is going to be all the guns that are going to be firing when the aliens in the lift get there. Or I kind of think it might be his telepathic skills kind of making people act in a way that they don't want to. So who's defending him up here? Well, I've got one of the ADU, so you can see that on his torso, and he's got kind of a target rangefinder thing on one eye. So he's kind of an official guard there. And I thought we'd continue the female theme by having some wonderful female guards in pink uniform. So this is the Intergalactic Girl from Series 6. And she's wonderful, rather fantastic, sort of bit of a Barbarella thing going on there with her silver lipstick and her wonderful blonde hair. So I think she looks great. So she can be here behind the controls. And just because I had two of these for some reason, I thought I'd have another one, another intergalactic girl, but I thought I'd better use a slightly different hairpiece. So I've gone for this more sort of flicky type hair and a slightly different face. So I've actually used the face from the Series 7 Rocker Girl because it's got this wonderful sort of pink eyeliner and electric bolt there, which I just thought looked brilliant and really matched very well. So I thought they could all be together guarding their very important person or very important thing. Not trying to be rude about it, but I don't know if he's a person or not. Maybe that looks a bit better. So there's our scene with our three Earthlings, our control panel complete with sound brick, and our captive alien commander there who is about to be rescued. Well, or so hope the aliens. So that is floor number 6. And I can put that on top of this floor, which is not going to be the most attractive from the back, I realise. But, you know, that can't be helped because those screens arguably are more important. And the other thing is I'm sort of increasingly thinking that this whole build might well go up against the wall rather than lining the standing hole. I'm going to do this off camera. Than lining the standing hole because it's just too tall. We're already on 6 floors, and as I say, we've got 2 more structures to go, and it's going to be very easy to knock, very easy to ruin on a daily basis. So if it is against the wall, then it will look fine because that solid blue wall will only be visible to the wall. Good. Right, so I will now get these onto that, or at least together anyway, and then we can look at the next section, which is kind of a floor, but it's a little bit different. So as usual, this is very hard to show you all on the desk. So again, we're starting a new structure, which will go on top of those 2 floors, which will go on top of those 4 when we get to the Lego room. But for now, I'm going to do it all down here for convenience. So this isn't a conventional floor as such, but it is a floor. It's just not a floor that the lift is going to service. And I thought, because at the moment the whole tower is just this great big grey block, that I thought I would try and do something really interesting on the top. And I was sort of hopeful that you'd be able to see very easily into it, which actually you can. So it's probably not so much a problem than I was fearful of. But I was fearful that you wouldn't be able to see in too well. So I wanted something that you could really see into very clearly. And what I wanted to do there was create kind of a fake lunar landscape. Because, you know, when you see those videos about the old Apollo missions to the moon and so on, they would all be sort of bouncing around in Nevada or wherever in America, sort of practicing for when they got to the moon. And conspiracy theorists always say that that's all they did. But I think they went there, but nonetheless. So I wanted to do kind of a moonscape where some real-life astronauts could be basically practicing their skills whilst on terra firma, and they could do that in the safety of this little, basically, habitat type thing. So I've just got some random kind of tan slopes and bits and bobs to represent rocks, and then I'm going to use some of the astronauts from the most recent range because I think they're great with their wonderful helmets. So here's a female astronaut with a wonderful dual molded helmet and same tank as way back then in the late 70s, but a very nice printed torso and legs. And this astronaut has found a geode piece and it's sort of cracked it open. So I'll put her on, say, this rock, looking very happy with herself. And she can be accompanied by this robot, which was actually part of the set 60229, Rocket Assembly and Transport. I didn't buy that set, but I did buy the pieces to make the robot. In fact, I had most of them. I just needed a couple more. So hopefully that will fit in the walls. If not, I'm going to have to move him slightly, but he can be helping. And then I've got one of these pieces, which is actually in old dark grey, so you can kind of see that that's different. And it's got all these sort of craters on it, all these bumps, and I thought it looked rather space-like, maybe like it was an asteroid that had hit a planet a long, long time ago and was now being investigated. I mean, this one might be made of fiberglass or plastic or something because it's only for training purposes after all. But here's another of the same astronaut, but I've given this guy a man's head, so he looks a bit grumpy. So he's working hard as well. So they are in this lunar landscape for practicing their mission. But then I didn't want to do this in a normal sort of floor with the normal windows. I wanted to do this in a great big glass bubble, kind of like a big glass dome. So I've got a combination of glass pieces. I've got this one, which you can buy brand new from Lego Bricks and Pieces because it was used in the, what was it used in? The diner. So that's 10260. And it was also used in Ninjago City, actually, 70620. Let's see if this fits in. And then I've got two of the equivalent ones, which are the corner ones. And they were actually used in that ship in a bottle, 21313. So they are also available brand new and therefore unscratched from Lego Bricks and Pieces. So there we go. There's our dome starting to form. And there's the other one. So there we go. So there's 3 pieces of dome. And I think you'll agree that that looks rather fun. Kind of very visible. A nice glass bubble. I haven't built this before, so I don't know how this is going to look in real life. When it's all together, I mean. So I'm thinking that looks really good fun for now. It's kind of weird that you'd be able to see this just as a normal pedestrian in Brick Nottingham, looking up and seeing this. And I've just built some bits to kind of make this reach to the edge. So we've just got some white sort of wall pieces with some green lights on and some trans black bits and so on. So that kind of acts as the frame. And then I've got a bit more there to bridge that. And then I just need to join all of that together. So I've got a bit there, a bit there, a bit there. Now I have got that one overlapping. I think that'll be all right against the wall. If not, I'll just move the whole thing a little bit forward, but that is deliberate for now. So that's the roof there. And I'm just going to hold those 3 together using that. So there we go. There is the top floor, floor number 7, which is the lunar landscape for training. I like it. So I do like the fact that we can see all of our wonderful characters from the outside. Got our spacemen, classic spacemen in that floor there. And then we've got our defenders and our alien commander in that floor. And then incredibly visible in the dome on the top are our astronauts training away. So that's really good. So first 4 floors and then the next 3 making 7. And then there's just one thing to add right on the top as the crowning glory. And the first thing I'm going to need is just one of these round plates because that makes the whole thing turn. And then what I did was I took inspiration from Star Wars again, specifically the UCS Death Star set 75159. And I've modified it a little bit, but generally speaking, I've only gone and made a Death Star dish, which in that case is used to make a massive laser that destroys whole planets. But in my case, it's just a very large communications antenna or array. And I've kind of got that based on a setup like this. So it's always sort of held up at an angle, the right angle, I think, for me. And the reason why it uses this clear piece on the back is just because the grey ones are really expensive because they're only available in Death Star sets, essentially, unless there's been a more recent one. But anyway, when I bought it, that was the most economical way of doing it. So you can see now I've got, now I still can't fit it in, can I? But I've got a movable dish. You can sort of see it. I've got a movable dish on the top of my incredibly large tower. So let's see if I push it back, if you can see most of it. Yeah, there you can see the majority of it. So it's not really 8 floors. It's definitely 7 floors, but we've also got basically an 8th floor height with a ridiculously large communications array. So I very much like that. I can have it either tilted back like that or leaning forward, depending on how you want it. I think it looks a bit better at an angle like that. But there you go. So that is my full space tower. And I do think it's a success, if I do say so myself. We've got so many colours showing from the outside. We've got the lovely lime of all these aliens here and here. Got the white, blue and yellow of all these experiments. We've even got the flames now coming out of this wall, which is a great suggestion. I'm going to give it a bonus because it is so wonderful. We've also got the then pink and blue and lime again on this floor before the white and orange of this floor. So I just love it when you get something like this, which has so many different scenes, so many things to attract the eye and so many different colours. So, and that's before we even get to the ridiculously large dish on top of the building as a whole. Wow. So how am I going to make the thumbnail for this video? I've got literally no idea. It's going to be so tall. I'll really want to do a portrait style picture, but I need a landscape one. Maybe I'll just do this picture here. It might be the best way of doing it. Cool. Right. So the only thing remaining is to put this in the Lego room. Well, I'm glad to report it made it up in one piece, or rather in the 2 pieces that I brought it up in, which then got joined together. There's the rocket flames going out the window. And it's incredibly hard to film here, but there is the inside view of the 1st floor, 2nd floor with that rocket jetting through the roof. The 3rd floor, top suggestion there, love it. 4th floor, the clean room with satellite. 5th, bit of a blank wall, but hey ho. 6th is the top secret cell block floor. And we've got all of our intergalactic girls and ADU personnel. And then we've got the back of our lunar landscape. It's kind of hard to keep the focus on the right thing. There we go. And then the back of our massive dish, which is pointing towards, just behind that light, it's going to be a bit hard to see, but you see there on the top left, our double lunar space station. So that's very good. And there's the alien mothership for those who don't remember it up there. And I've added a huge gun onto the top of that wasn't part of the original set. So here is Brick Nottingham, long time no see. And you can see we are looming over it with this building here. And it's way taller than the hospital with its helicopter suspended in midair. So yeah, let's go round to the first standing hole and see how it looks from there. Yep, it's kind of hard to show you because it's so tall and because the Lego room's getting so full, there's fewer and fewer places to stand without knocking things over and to position lights and so on. But you see what I mean? I think that could work well against this wall here, this nice blank space, just because you'll still be able to see all those scenes just as well, I think. And if we keep it here, not only am I going to bang it every time I'm working in that second standing hole over there, but it's going to inhibit our view of the fairground, which is basically going to be on mainly these 2 tables here. And I'm hopefully going to have City sort of continuing off up to where the roller coaster is there, and City all the way up to the corner of this table as well, where the light is. So yeah, it might get better against the wall, but the good thing is it's nice and tall. I don't think anyone can describe it as a drab uniform building when it's got flames coming out of the side, a wonderful dome on top, and then a wonderful, massive, great big array or dish on the top of that. And it's full of colours and interest. It kind of makes the hospital look a bit dull by comparison in a way. And then we've got that wonderful street scene as well. I just love the clingers. You know, I've got 2 of those clingers. I could arguably go for a dozen more because they're so fun. But yeah, I think that's a real good addition to Brick Nottingham. Do tell me what you think. So there is that mothership For those of you that can't remember it, it was the second video I did, or was it the first? Oh, it's the first ever video I did this. And then I added the giant oversized gun later on. But back to today. I think we've made a lot of progress over those 2 parts of the build. I mean, the hospital took more parts than that and is technically shorter, but we've crammed in lots of scenes, lots of interesting parts, lots of computers and all the rest of it. Some of the scenes are exiting the building, which are my favourite. So I'm very happy with it. I'm also very keen to hear what you think, and if you've got any more suggestions, either for the first half or for what we've just done today, to make that even better. I always like getting your feedback. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, we'll be doing a haul, as per usual. But then on Friday, it will be our 200th video. So I'll be doing another full city tour. So I look forward to that. And we've got quite a few new additions to enjoy on that one as well. So see you then.